My husband Jared and I have a 6-month-old son we will call Jed. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my mother-in-law Susan lives next door to us. She just moved next door a couple of months ago. It's not like we could stop her, so this didn't happen during our son's early months. Since she moved here, she has taken to just showing up at the door to see Jed and continuously knocking since she knows I'm home until I open. It's a real problem when I am trying to put Jed down for a nap or feed him or nap myself, etc., and she has woken him up multiple times. My dog doesn't bark but starts pacing and whines the entire time from excitement, anxiety, until she leaves or I open the door. Susan showed up 2 weeks ago knocking after I told her the day before that Jed was teething and sleeping terribly. She came right as I had gotten him to sleep and woke him up. I told her at the door it's not a good time, and she said she'll come back later. I told her to please text me so I can make sure he's awake first. It took 2 hours to get Jed back to sleep, and she comes over 10 minutes after I get him down without texting me and wakes him up again. I didn't answer the door. I have a Ring camera, and she stood there for 15 minutes knocking every few minutes or so. After 15 minutes, she finally texted me saying she's here to see Jed. I texted her back saying he's sleeping, and I will let her know when she can come see him, and then she finally left. When Jared got home and I told him everything, he went to talk to Susan and told her she needs to text me, asking if the time works before just showing up, as she keeps waking up Jed. She said she understood and she would only come over when she knows he's awake. He told her to only come over when I say it's okay. Susan has now taken to standing outside our front door and listening to see if she can hear Jed. It's a small old house, so if he's baby talking or crying, you can usually hear it. If she can, she'll knock and stay knocking until I answer. I've taken to just ignoring her and taking Jed and my dog into the backyard or as far from the front door as I can get and playing until she gives up. And I see her leave on the camera. I told my husband, and he agrees with me not letting her in unless she texts me first, regardless of whether Jed is awake or not. My father-in-law Grant, who is divorced from Susan, texted me and Jared yesterday about how she is hurt and how we are being cruel by ignoring her and how she's always wanted to be a grandma and she deserves an opportunity to bond with her grandson. She hasn't seen him in over a week. We were out of town over the weekend and made a Facebook post about how much she misses him. Susan's siblings were commenting about why she can't see him being next door, and she said we weren't allowing her to for no reason. Between Grant and aunts uncles, I am beginning to feel like an AH, but I'm not sure that I am one. Jared did text his dad back, explaining, but Grant said that we are being petty. Edit. Quite a few people have told me to get a sound machine, so thought I'd say we do have a white noise machine we use when he's sleeping, but he is just a light sleeper. Plus, we have single-pane windows. Edit. A lot of people also telling me to just let her watch him when she wants and then have time to myself. But she is not a trustworthy caretaker. We will not allow her to watch him unsupervised. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but absolutely clear it up so she can't twist the narrative. She's being stalker-level crazy. Tell them you have videos of her just standing outside your home until she hears something and then knocking for upwards of 15 minutes. Explain that you have a teething baby who's not able to sleep because grandma knocks all the time and won't respect boundaries. Tell them that you have not banned her from seeing her grandson, only that you told her she's not allowed over unless she texts you and you say it's a good time. She has yet to respect you and your husband's boundaries, so you're not letting her in while you try to take care of your son. Honestly, just stating you have videos of her literally lurking outside your home and then pouncing on your door for 15 minutes at a time will make any sane person think your mother-in-law was off her rocker. Comment 2. Your mother-in-law has lost her sense of boundaries for whatever reason, and you are not the idiot for asserting your right to privacy and independence. Your husband will need to be more forceful in explaining the expectations you and he have of your mom visiting. This is really important so your relationship can be positive, so she is welcome when she comes over, and so you do not have to default to not allowing her access to your home or family, which would be a shame. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. So let me tell you what happened next. After all that with Susan, things went from bad to worse. Last Tuesday, she did something that really got under my skin. She showed up with a bunch of toys and started leaving them on the porch, saying they were for Jed. It was like she was trying to buy her way in. I didn't let her in, of course, but the pile of toys outside was like a guilt trip every time I looked out the window. Then on Thursday, she crossed a line. I caught her peeking in through the window while Jed was playing. I lost it. I went out and told her this had to stop, that she was invading our privacy. She just cried and played the victim, saying she only wanted to see her grandson. I felt bad for a second, but then I remembered all the stress she's caused. Jared was furious when he found out. He went over and told her she was on thin ice. But she just wouldn't listen. She said she had rights as a grandmother and that we were being unfair. It was like talking to a brick wall. The next day, Grant called again. He said Susan was heartbroken and that we should reconsider our stance. He even suggested that maybe we could set up a schedule for her to visit. Jared and I talked it over, and against my better judgment, we agreed to try it out. We thought maybe a little structure would help. So we set up a time for Sunday afternoon. Susan was over the moon. She came over right on time, and for a while everything seemed okay. Jed was happy to see her, and she was behaving herself. But then as she was leaving, she whispered to me that she knew we'd come around and that a grandmother's love can't be denied. It felt like a threat, like she'd won somehow. And then the real news dropped. On Monday, I got a call from my sister. She told me she'd seen some posts on social media. Susan had been telling everyone that we'd finally realized we needed her help, that we couldn't manage without her. She made it sound like she was the hero of the story, coming to save the day. I was livid. It was all lies. We'd only agreed to the schedule to keep the peace, not because we needed her. But now everyone was praising her, saying what a great grandmother she was. It felt like a slap in the face. Jared tried to talk to her about it, but she just brushed him off, saying it was a misunderstanding. But I knew better. She'd manipulated the situation to make herself look good at our expense. Now I'm stuck. We've set this precedent, and I'm worried about what she'll pull next. I feel like I made the wrong choice, but I can't quite put my finger on why. It's a mess, and I'm not sure how to fix it without causing a family war. Thanks for reading this. It helps to vent a bit. My roommate pretended to be cool with my transition, but then poisoned my dog, so I exposed his cruelty and left him with a lease he can't afford. I've turned here to find out if I'm insane or not. Throwaway account. I, 26 transgender male, have moved to a new city and have been friends with my now roommate, 30 male, for a few years before making the move. Dude is great, keeps to his own spaces, respects how I handle training my dog. We split food and utilities without fuss. His mood and mine increase just having another human around, you know? Except I bleed. Once a week, every month. I put a trash can in the bathroom to toss any period supplies as needed, as well as floss or ear cleaners, tissues, etc. It has a liner that I replace often. It's tucked behind the mop, even so it's barely visible. I'm well enough passing that I guess he forgets that I still have functioning ovaries, but that's about the only silver lining I can find in this. It's been a fight every month over whether or not having a trash can for my wrap supplies is sanitary. I've even tried wrapping them 3 times over and tucking to the bottom of the floss and tissues, which have ones that he has used. Ew, but it's still a fight. He wants me to walk it all the way out to the dumpster each time I have to change something out. I finally had enough and described the suffering of it in graphic detail to him. I'm a heavy bleeder and always have been, to the point that my anemia makes it incredibly hard to keep my balance on my heaviest and worst days. Cups fill in minutes. It's bad. I probably didn't need to be so graphic when I was explaining why exactly I needed this in here at least 1 week in a month. I feel like a jerk for that, but I don't think this is an unreasonable request. Everywhere I go, including his parents' and friends' houses, they have trash cans in their bathrooms. He has a mom and a sister who is 1 year younger than him. I feel like he should know something about this. Anyway, that's my scream to the void. So, am I the jerk for wanting a trash can in the only bathroom in our apartment? Update. You're all awesome. Thank you for your input one way or the other. He came to me after work today. He thought about what I had told him and had nightmares about it all night. I apologize for being so graphic in my descriptions, but made it clear that that is my hell every month. He actually offered to be the one to buy one with a lid instead. He went on saying that it wasn't really something he should have been upset about, and he didn't really understand how bad it could be until I described it. Apparently, his mom and sister rarely ever got periods, and he didn't know when they did. He thought they just removed them immediately each time. He ended up messaging one of our mutual friends, Jane, from the comments where I had taken a picture of their bin and sent it to him saying, "See?" She had laughed at him, and he realized it was a ridiculous thing to be upset about when she described the same thing she goes through. Anyway, he's always been a pretty decent dude. I'm glad you're all so protective over bad or unjust roommates. Thank you for your worry on that. I could have used this kind of resounding support with one of my exes. Haha. For everyone who is concerned about my bleeding levels, you're right, it is abnormal. But it's my normal. At least that's what all 4 of my previous gynecologists have said. I had been tested for PCOS and endometriosis. The first time I fainted in high school, they put me through so many blood tests I ended up having a fear of needles develop. But I don't think I have been tested for adeno, as was suggested by comments. I'll make another appointment with a new OBGYN here in my new city and bring it up with them. I appreciate everyone's concerns on that. I've always been told it's because I'm a tiny 90 lbs dude with bad bleeds though. I don't know if anyone wants an update on that or not, haha, but I figured I'd at least show it was a good ending all in all. Thanks for making me not feel insane. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Having a toilet trash can is the standard in most countries with plumbing issues or houses with a septic tank, as anyone raised in the countryside might relate to, in addition to being a necessity for periods. He is being intransigent and unwilling to accept something that, honestly, he'll most likely be forced to accept as he grows, travels, finds love, and moves outside of his bubble. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Period phobia pisses me off. I get obnoxious about it. How dare someone make you feel ashamed about your body doing its thing? I like to use the phrase uterine lining sloughing, but that's me. A covered bin is a good choice. But if the dude is straight and is going to have a girlfriend and daughters one day, he needs to get over it. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around. So the roommate situation took a turn. Remember how he was all understanding after our last talk? Well, turns out he was just putting on an act. He started acting weird, like he was hiding something. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I found out he'd been talking to my ex behind my back. Yeah, the same ex who made my life miserable. They were plotting something, and it had to do with me, but I couldn't figure out what. I was already feeling betrayed when another bomb dropped. My dog, the one thing that's been my constant companion, suddenly got sick. I was frantic, taking him to the vet, trying to figure out what was wrong. The vet said it looked like he'd been poisoned, but couldn't tell how or by what. I was devastated and confused. Who would do such a thing? Then things at home got even worse. My roommate started bringing up the trash can issue again, saying it was causing problems with the plumbing. I knew it was a lie because I'm careful about what I throw away. But he was insistent, and it led to another huge argument. I couldn't believe it. After everything, we were back to square one. Amidst all this, I was still struggling with my health. The bleeding hadn't gotten any better, and I was waiting for my appointment with the new OB/GYN. It was like everything was piling on, and I had no one to turn to. But then the roommate did something unexpected. He came to me, looking all guilty, and confessed that he'd been the one to make my dog sick. He said it was an accident, that he'd left something out that the dog got into, but I didn't buy it. It was too much of a coincidence with everything else going on. I was furious, heartbroken, and felt utterly alone. I had to make a decision about what to do next. I couldn't stay with someone who'd hurt my dog, even if it was an accident. I started looking for a new place to live, but it wasn't easy with my health issues and the dog's vet bills piling up. In the end, I decided to confront my ex and my roommate together. I wanted answers. The confrontation was intense. Accusations were thrown and secrets came out. My ex admitted to being jealous of my new life and had convinced my roommate to help make things difficult for me. They wanted me to move back home, to be dependent on them again. I was shocked. I couldn't believe these were the people I'd once trusted. I walked away from that meeting knowing I had to cut them both out of my life for good. It was a hard decision, but it was the right one. I found a new place eventually, a small studio that's just mine. It's been tough, but I'm managing. The dog is recovering, and we're both adjusting to our new life. I'm still waiting for that OB/GYN appointment, hoping for some answers, or at least some relief. It's been a rough week, to say the least, but I'm getting through it, one day at a time. Thanks for reading. My friend ignored my grief when my mom died after I supported her through the same loss. So when she begged for her sentimental keychain back, I made her apologize publicly and kept my distance to show her actions have consequences. I, 23-year-old female, lost my mom suddenly late last year, 2 days before New Year's and 11 days before my mom's birthday. My friend, 23-year-old female, lost her mom when we were 17. We went to a dormitory school. When she lost her mom, I was there for her. I slept by her side for 6 months, fed her sometimes when she's low on energy, and even bought her a new blouse as she said her mom promised to buy it for her before she passed. I am not active on social media. The only way I announced my mother's death was to our high school group chat and through my WhatsApp status. Many of my former classmates gave their condolences, and 2 of my closest friends called me constantly for 3 days to make sure I'm not alone. She, however, never said anything. She saw my message in the group chat, saw my status, and didn't even give a reply. Not even a simple WhatsApp sticker. I didn't do anything about it. On my mom's birthday, I messaged her, "Hey, you know my mom died last year, right? It's her birthday today. Can I call you for a bit so that I'm not alone with my thoughts?" She replied with, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry for your loss. Don't call me. I'm busy today. I'll call you when I can. She never called. Last week, our friend group finally managed to hang out for the first time in 6 months due to our busy schedules. That day, everyone gave their condolences to me personally, except her, who stayed quiet. While chatting about various things, the topic turned to her missing her mom. She cried and told us that she has a mini pillow keychain made from her mom's clothes, and the scent always soothes her and makes her cry. I ended up crying a bit and subconsciously said, yes, same. She stopped crying and said it's not the same. I asked how, and she said because her mom passed 6 years ago, her scent becomes faint while mine is still fresh. She told me that I'm downplaying her grief. I snapped, stood up, and told her, how am I downplaying your grief when I acknowledge your feelings and said I related to it? You weren't even there for me when my mom died, and this was our first conversation in 3 months. I also reminded her about the things I did for her when her mom passed and stormed out of the cafe. One of my friends followed me and comforted me. I never went back and went shopping alone, then went home. Later that night, I apologized in the group chat for ditching them. She replied telling me I'm a jerk for the things I said to her and for ditching the group when it was the first time in a while we managed to gather together. I told her I'm sorry for ditching them, but I'm not apologizing to her because my feelings were valid too. 2 of her closest friends said I'm the jerk while the others are on my side, but some say I should still apologize a bit. Now that my mind is clearer, I feel like I am the jerk for lashing out like that. She did lose her mom at a young age while I lost mine during my adulthood, so her grief may be greater than mine. Edit, I space out quite a lot. While she was talking about the pillow thing, I was in a half daze and mumbled, yeah, same. I have learned that subconsciously may not be the right word to use. English isn't my first language, sorry. Edit, spoiler, I have decided to apologize a bit. I am planning on explaining in the group chat about my feelings, how I felt at the time, and how her actions hurt me while also apologizing to her for how I may have hurt her. I am not comparing grief or making it into a competition, but I do understand that grief works in many ways. I have also decided to no longer consider her as my friend for my mental well-being while still being in the friend group but distancing myself a bit. This decision may upset some of you guys, but I feel that this is the best for my mental well-being. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I'm very sorry for your loss, OP. You're the idiot votes are crazy. Your friend was the one who started the Grief Olympics when you were trying to be supportive after she ignored properly acknowledging what happened to you not once, but twice. Does she have no empathy? I can understand the first time that perhaps she felt it may trigger her own grief again if she were to hear about your feelings after your mom's passing. But you would have not been a jerk in any way if you had distanced yourself from her after that. There is some level of understanding and grace that needs to be given at times to maintain friendships, but your friend seems too self-centered to be worth that effort. Comment 2. Not the idiot, OP. My condolences on your loss. I lost my mother on December 27th and am still shook. You owe no apology, especially not to this ex-friend. But if you absolutely want to say something to the group, all you need to say is, I'm sorry you had to witness my reaction to so-and-so, who I was there for when her mom died, but who has mostly ghosted me since learning my mom died. I'm not apologizing for being angry that she let me down. I'm just sorry I did it in front of you guys since you have been really supportive of me these past weeks. Now, for the update, thanks for all the comments on my last post. So, things escalated quickly after that. The day after I sent my message to the group chat, my not-so-friend decided to throw a party. Guess who wasn't invited? Yep, me. But here's the thing. She held it at our mutual friend's place, the one who comforted me that day at the cafe. I found out through a slip of the tongue from another friend who assumed I was going. The betrayal stung, but it also lit a fire in me. I spent the night of the party alone thinking about everything. I was hurt, but I wasn't going to let this slide. The next day I heard from the grapevine that she had lost that precious keychain during the party. She was devastated, and I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. I know it's petty, but after how she treated me, I couldn't muster up any sympathy for her. But then karma came knocking. The friend who hosted the party found the keychain stuck between couch cushions. Instead of returning it immediately, she called me over. She felt guilty for not inviting me and wanted to make amends. We hatched a plan. I would return the keychain to my not-so-friend, but not without a condition. I walked into her place the next day, keychain in hand. The look on her face was priceless, a mix of shock, relief, and shame. I laid it out for her. I'd give back the keychain if she admitted to everyone how she'd been treating me and apologized. She tried to argue, but she wanted that keychain back badly. So she agreed. She sent a message to the group chat, spilling everything. How she excluded me, how she hadn't been there for me, and how she was sorry. Some friends were shocked, others not so much. But they all saw her true colors that day. And me? I handed her the keychain and walked away without another word. I didn't need her apology to feel vindicated. Her actions spoke louder than any sorry ever could. I've decided to keep my distance from her, but I'm still part of the friend group. Things are a bit awkward, but I'm managing. I'm focusing on myself now, and honestly, it feels good to have stood up for myself. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.